Hey everyone, I'm Pooja Patel, the editor of Pitchfork, and welcome to our second listening club. Today, I'm personally so excited for our guest, the intimidable and iconic Christine and the Queens. Her most recent release, La Vita Nuova, came out in March, and let me just say that the first song, People I've Been Sad, really resonated with me when it landed. She'll be joining us in a minute for an interview and then a performance from her home in Paris. And between our chat and Chris's set, we'll also have Pitchfork's associate editor Anna Gatza and contributing editor Phil Sherburne popping by to share some music that we've really been loving lately. One fun little fact is that between the four of us, Chris, myself, Anna, and Phil, we're coming to you live from three different countries right now. And it feels really nice, like we can all be here together right now. So thank you so much for being a part of it. I hope you enjoy the show, and we'll be back in a minute with Chris. If you're just tuning in, I'm Pooja Patel, the editor of Pitchfork, and we're here today with one of my favorite artists of the past few years, Christine and the Queens. Hi, Chris.
Hi. Thank you for saying that. It warms my heart already.
How are you enjoying that little music interlude?
Deeply enjoyable and also visually it's really soothing. It's really like
Yeah,
to live in. It's just like I want people to take care of me like the layout is taking care of me.
it feels like a hug.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like you've been so prolific even in quarantine. And I think one thing that I'm curious about is just what does your day look like? Like when you wake up through when you go to bed, what are you doing?
Screaming. No. um, Sometimes I do, but not all the time. Well, I think lockdown for me was a surprise. Like everybody had to readjust. For me, kind of opened a moment where it looked a lot like a writing session for a record.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do usually when I write a record is kind of lots of loneliness and time to work, and so I kind of started really quickly to structure my days like that.
Yeah.
So waking up, coffee, mandatory, but then like working on music and just having like pauses to eat and work again until the late at night and then stop. And I think it was a way for me to cope with that crazy moment in time where everything got suspended for a second. And also I kind of immediately wanted to find ways to perform small bits of songs for other people, and so I used immediately the socials for that. But I've been writing a lot during lockdown.
I mean, are you able to share a little bit of what you've been working on?
Well, well, I know this is frustrating because I've been like bragging a lot, like I've been writing, and then they're like, "What?" And but because for me, the whole record is always a like a movie, so it's kind of like I never want to spoil the plot before it exists.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say is that I mean, I'm going to be very abstract, but it sounds really vast. It sounds really like not escapist, but in a fun way, which is different from me than what it used to be before. For me, songwriting before was about really being precise about old wounds and why, and
Yeah.
tracking them at that point. And now I'm using that as a material for fantasy, for like a dream, which is quite exciting.
You were saying that it feels like it's almost an escapist album.
I think yes, somehow this is where I want to be more precise, but I can't.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
with me it's always the same, and it's kind of like also I'm telling a story through a record, and I know I have something consistent where I know what story I'm about to tell. And this one I have it now, and it is quite ambitious. So I don't even know if visually I'll be able to provide you with the story I have in mind right now. But what I have in mind is quite it's really like I've been thinking a lot also about records that I was probably dreaming about and dreaming of when I was younger. Like when you fall asleep to a Bjork record, for example. I'm kind of trying to emulate that feeling of just being able to travel with just one record that kind of sucks you in a whole
Yeah.
different universe. This is
What
really
what
abstract.
No, I mean the suspense is killing me. I can't wait to see what it will inevitably be. But is there art or music that you're turning to in this time of idea forming or kind of creative inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, kind of early on when I have like when I hold something in my hands, I'm starting to immediately to do mood boards. I'm a mood board addict. And with that, I have no exceptions because also there are like simple rules I kind of end up following. For example, even I'm going to use the second record to avoid talking about the one I'm working on, but for example, when I knew like the like G funk would be like a touchstone, I immediately thought of a character that was really muscular, and then I was like West Side Story, and then you have like um, uh, I don't know how to say tipping points that you use, and then they create like a whole aesthetic for the whole record. And this is the
Right.
most satisfying moment for me when I have that. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a record about lust, and I'm going to flex the muscles. And then I
Do
was,
you have do you have a sense of what that character is yet, or are you still building it?
mm, alors I have a strong sense of what that character is, but I think it's the most ambitious character I have to work on, and it's a really poetic one, whatever that means. So I'm really careful. I'm really careful this time. I'm taking the proper time. I've been starting to write diaries also to
Mm,
properly understand how to address that character. Um, but yes, and I can't wait to become again. I like also doing a weird job that allows me to become someone I'm craving somehow to be, and it can
yeah.
be fish, if I want to be. I'll be
Yeah.
useful. I like the imagination. I like the theatrics of pop music also.
Do you have Is there anything on the mood board that you feel like you could tell us about?
I can
And then
see you.
I'll leave it alone.
No, I can't too much, but it's not going to be what we call reality. Am I saying the most cryptic thing ever? I sound like
No, I kind of like it because it feels like the world is a surreal nonsense place right now as it is. So constructing your own reality and a character that feels more true to yourself, it seems like as logical a place to go as anything else.
finally what I do is relevant. So I've been doing it makes sense now.
Well, I think also there's been a lot of joy, and I think your covers have been a way for fans and also just any music lover to attach to kind of the place that we're in right now, where everyone is trying to relate to music and feel connected, but they can't sit in a room listening to their favorite songs anymore. And I'm wondering, you've run the gamut. You've done, Young's Heart of Gold. You've done The Weekend. You've done Travis Scott. What is the process behind choosing songs and then arranging them or making them come to life for you?
I think the great pleasure of working on those covers, they were like also really circumstantial to how I was feeling. And I think I did like, for example, like the Neil Young track.
Hmm.
Uh, I always wanted somehow to cover it, but it's really intimidating as a track. So I had to wait for the day where I properly unfolded, and I cried 2 hours. And I was like, let's do it because it's going to soothe me first, probably. And I felt comfortable to take it somehow in a different place. Also, when I do covers, I have a huge respect for the song, and for me, it's a way to take it back closer to me. And I almost always twist it or like rework it in a way that makes it quite different because it's a
Right.
way to respect the original. And the Travis Scott one, I was kind of feeling mad enough to just sing about wanting to be so high that you forget the rest of it, you know. And it was almost like keeping a diary for other people and sharing the emotions, but using art I loved also. And it felt also as a way for me to think a lot about production and how I want to perform as an artist. It was a way also to trick myself into not panicking sometimes. It
Hmm.
was use the panic of the lockdown. I was like, let's do a cover and let's share it, because the ultimate point was to perform for someone. I think I wanted to keep that in mind because I didn't want to just be isolated from nothing. I wanted to
Yeah.
have an aim at some point.
As an artist, a little bit before we went live, we were talking about how performance feels so visceral and necessary, and the way that, and the part of the reason why you create art. And I'm just curious, how do you feel about what the future looks like, or just even for yourself personally, if not or other artists?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's really puzzling because it is deep uncertainty right now, and I think everyone kind of have like suppositions and fears, and but it feels really like suspended, and we have no clear answer. I kind of personally hope that we are going back to that idea, not back in a bad way, but back to the idea of gathering somehow, and because I come from theater, and the great thing I learned in theater is that the performance is finished by the audience, and the audience is a huge part of the magic that happens, which is
Hmm.
the uh, crash. The imaginations are all crashing together, and I mean the screen is fine, but it's not the same energy for me. And the notion of accidents, of awkwardness, of silences, of things that happens with someone else is disappearing from a screen because we don't have feedback. So I kind of personally, as a performer, I would be frustrated if future would be only through screens, because then it would lose purpose, and I would write movies and never perform again. For me, a performance is music
Yeah.
and the dialogue that starts. So
And how, I mean, your performances are so tied to dance, your music is so tied to dance. How has your relationship with performance and dance changed over the past few months, or even in how you're conceptualizing the new music?
that's interesting actually, because you know the thing I'm working on right now, the dance is not clear yet. Sometimes the dance is at the very core of the character I'm about to work on. Sometimes it happens after that as a language I have to find.
Hmm.
For me, dance is still very much also a way to. Every day I dance. I find a way to dance every day, and it's almost like a way to. For me, dance is about also self acceptance a lot. I I dance to be present to myself and to just take care of my body somehow and remind myself I have one, because when I
Hmm.
can think I'm a cloud and forget to take care of myself. So I've been also dancing consistently during lockdown, but it's a way more solitary process because I
Hmm.
used to tour with dancers, and the great joy of sharing one vibe with five other bodies is kind of like gone for now. So
Hmm.
maybe the dancing is going to be influenced also by that kind of moon loneliness we are in now. But it's always crucial to me.
Yeah. Are you having any kind of, we were talking about our want to be, we just want to party. Like I just want to be with my friends listening to music, dancing in the wild. Are you having any moments of kind of full cathartic release on that front, individually or otherwise?
But actually, we are lucky enough in France that the lockdown is slightly lifted up, so
Hmm.
we can meet carefully with friends, and I kind of did that. And
You had a dance party?
I
A
don't know,
safe dance party?
I didn't have a dance party per se, but we kind of like gathered in the garden, and we just like because we just talked for hours, which was really soothing and healing. And then I tried to start a dance party, but then the other ones were not really up for it. So I need to find a secret club or something. I don't know. I don't want to be like a rebel, and I don't know if the French government is watching, so I might be careful. But I really want a dance party. I miss the club also. The clubbing is really cathartic for me.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, I miss that very much. I hope it's going to happen somehow.
I even what you're describing right now, just the want for how important it feels to even be able to gather with a couple of friends and talk in a safe way. I'm thinking a lot right now about those who aren't able to do that, or those who are struggling from being apart from their communities or don't have access to the places where they feel safe, and are struggling with things in a really different and isolated way right now. And I'm wondering if you have any advice for those people about how they can connect, or how they can, find some space for themselves and be kinder to themselves in this tough time.
Well, I think, I remember being really a lonely kid earlier in my life, and the thing I sometimes did not dare to do is reach out. And it might mean nothing saying like that, but I think the gesture of just like reaching out, saying I need to talk, or maybe trying to have a new conversation with someone somewhere
Mm-hmm.
in the social and say, can we call each other? Which seems for me super violent to say because I'm always afraid to impose something on someone. But I'm sure right now it's really about keeping the bond and never hesitating to formulate that you need one.
Yeah.
Because and there are many ways to reach out, I think, in different, I mean, even if you feel really solitary, maybe somewhere in the internet because you like one song with someone else, because you're in a forum or a Reddit thread or anything, maybe just, you know, this crazy sentence of like, I need someone to talk to could be the key to someone or something, you know, reaching out. But I think that the concept of reaching out is something I learned how to do myself.
Mm-hmm.
It felt a bit obscene when I was younger, but I think it could really help.
I
And
feel like it just feels hard for people.
yeah, well, because you put yourself in a vulnerable position saying
Yeah.
that, and you're always
Yeah.
afraid of rejection. I That was the case for me. But then you're surprised sometimes to see how much people wanted it or never thought you would want it yourself, and then they just give back.
Right.
So if you have the opportunity to just do that, maybe try it.
I think
And
that's
then you,
great advice. I have a couple of questions from the audience. We asked our Instagram followers if they
Good.
had any questions for you. Are you ready for them?
Always saying yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So one Pitchfork Listening Club follower
Yeah.
asked, "Do you have any secret weird talents?"
Weird talent, a
Mm-hmm.
secret. I'm afraid I'm displaying them all. I'm afraid I have what you actually see. Well, except, I mean, a French old woman told me once after a gig, and I don't know if it was a compliment or not. She was like, if the music is not working, you can still do stand up. Come. I was like, thank you, Jacqueline. I don't know how to take that compliment, but I guess it is one. So people might say sometimes I'm funny, but it's really, I don't know if it's secret and I don't know if it's universal because humor is never universal. Apart
Oh,
from
I
that,
think you're funny.
I don't even know how to cook an omelette. I'm like, I'm useless.
Okay, another listener asked, "Who has been your favorite person to collaborate with? And do you have a dream collaboration?"
Honestly, I'm not even going to be a hypocrite on that, but I've been lucky enough to collaborate with people I adored before and after the collaboration, like Perfume Genius, adored and still. Caroline Polacek, I was a huge fan and now I just adore her. Charlie also, I was following. I mean, I've been lucky. I have like been having few collaborations, but they really meant something.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all like in this family I want to keep to forever. I want to WhatsApp group of like my faves. And my dream collaboration, I had some already actually. Um, I would want something a bit extravagant and unexpected, like Rihanna would release something, and I would just like
God.
say a French word, being really a tiny elf on her shoulder. I would say like, "What if cacahuete?" Yeah. And she'd be like, "Yeah, yeah," and then the internet would freak out, like, "Who's that little French chick on Rihanna's shoulder?" You know, something like that.
Rihanna, if you're watching, Please make this happen for us. We need it. Um, well, this has been really fun. One last question for you. We
Yeah.
ask everyone who comes on Listening Club to pick a song that is really resonating with them right now. And you picked Frank Ocean's Nikes.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if you could explain the significance of that song.
Yeah. I mean, it's a song I've been listening a lot in the studio working on that EP, so I had to put it. I was listening to a lot of Bon Iver, and this song of by Frank. I mean, the record is a marvel, and it's weird because at first when I listened to Blonde, I did not enter it. I was like, ooh, but then it kind of clicked with me, and I deeply got moved. And I think that song is fantastic because I like how it works around streams of consciousness, and I like how the song is kind of like organically shifting as the thoughts just evolve. And I was actually listening to it a lot because I don't know if it's obvious on people I've been sad, but I've been working on kind of like a stream like that of a story that kind of gets nourished by another one, and then it kind of moves forward. And I think the poetry of the production of Nikes is fantastic. And I always come back to it whenever I kind of want to be humbled. Like I'm like, oh, such great art exists. shall I shall kneel and never talk again.
I mean, it's a beautiful song. Well, it was so great chatting. I'm so glad that we got to chat, and I look forward to seeing you play.
Mhm.
Next up, we have our editors Anna Gatza and Phil Sherburne, who are going to play some tracks that they can't stop listening to. Stay tuned for Chris's performance in about 10 minutes. And here's Nikes by Frank Ocean. Hi, Chris.